This is the Peugeot Speed Fight. Now you might well have seen these before because they've been out a little while, although this is the Speed Fight 2 and this particular one is 100cc's and most of them are 50cc's. Most of them because in actual fact they are the biggest selling scooter and have been for a couple of years now. But I don't suppose you're interested to know what's underneath these plastics and this seat. I don't care if you're not, because you're going to show you anyway. This is what you get underneath. It's quite a technical little thing actually, to be honest with you. There's your little engine, in this case 49cc, nice little piston popping up and down. We've got our alternator here which generates 12 volts of battery power, and of course most scoots are electric start anyway, so you need your 12 volts. Some scoots are fuel injection, some scoots are only a little carburettor. Your drive system isn't a chain like it is on a normal motorcycle, not on most anyway. Most of them have belt drive, and that's the belt hidden down here, and it's on two little wheel pulleys. And what happens is, as you accelerate and go a little quicker, that changes its gearing. Not like on a push bike where it goes onto cogs, just literally on like a cone. And as you go a little quicker, the gearing alters. So in actual fact, you're in the right gear at the right time, nearly all the time. And that makes your little 50cc very, very efficient. Obviously, that is the wheel, chopped in half, and we've got a brake drum here. Some do have a disc. And then, of course, you've got the big black exhaust system. Simple as that. That is what you get for your money. In the case of the Speed Fight 2 100cc, that's 2,000 quid. And at the moment, they're doing special offers on insurance for £100. Obviously, certain conditions.
Kawasaki had some new additions to their retro family of muscle bikes. There's the ZRX 1200R on an Eddie Lawson theme from the early 80s. There's the standard ZRX 1200, and then there's the half-fed ZRX 1200S. But even more retro, of course, was the 60s style W650, but that's more in the Bonneville mould, and at £4,795 it just slightly undercuts it.
No, sorry girls, no, I can't do it. Look, I've done enough phone numbers and things. I'm not doing it, I'm sorry. My apologies, but no, be off with you. Go on, leave me alone. Oh, cameraman, hello. Come here, for goodness sake. God, I don't know. I've had signing autographs, phone numbers. I've given loads of phone numbers out, most of them to fellas. And they've given me a job at the Yamaha stand here, giving brochures out. And I reckon they've got an ulterior motive. I actually think it's to scare the kids away so they don't mess about with the bikes. And Paul, of course, he gets the lovely jobs to do, and he reckons he's got a big one.
I have indeed got a big one. I'm talking about motorbikes, of course, in the shape of this, the new FJR 1300 from Yamaha. So where does this sit in the bike world? Well, it's a sort of sports tourer type thing, I suppose you'd say. But if you look at the world of sports tourers, you've got things like Honda's VFR 800 touring ability, Triumph's Sprint ST, again, good touring ability, but there's certainly more on the sports side of things. Then you've got things like Honda's Pan-European and BMW's K1200 LT, more dedicated tourers. Well, this is supposed to sit in the middle of those two. It's got the touring ability, good touring ability, and it's got some performance as well, so it's reasonably sporty. So if it's a tourer, what does it need? Well, it needs to be comfortable. Yes, it is. I've been sat here for ages, actually, having a rest, and it's a lovely, comfortable seat. Nice, big, padded, dual seat there as well. The bars, nice position. They're not low, not tucked down. They're nice and high, and you're not tipped forward, so you're not going to get too much backache, I shouldn't think. Little button here for your electrically adjusted screen, so it doesn't work at the moment because it's not switched on, but that goes up and down, so you can adjust that for the optimum wind protection when you're doing them hundreds and hundreds of miles across Europe. It's got to have luggage carrying capacity as well. Well, we've got no panniers fitted as standard. There's one on the stand here behind me there with a nice set of colour-coded panniers. Looks very smart. Fuel tank is metal, so you can keep your magnetic tank bags. You can stick them on there. Big fuel tank as well on this, 25 litres, so you're not going to be pulling up for fuel too often on this. It should be good for a lot of touring ability. You could put a top box on the back there. You could load it up, no problem at all. Also, it's the sporty side of things, so it needs some performance. Well, 1300 cc's, nice big smooth motor with loads of torque, nice power delivery, 141 brake horsepower, should be good for 150 miles an hour plus, no problem at all. Now I remember Yamaha's FJ 1200 was around many years ago, and there's still a few cruising around the continents now. Great tourer, a lot of touring ability, but it was big, it was lardy, it was heavy, and it was a bit cumbersome. Well, on this, they managed to shed loads and loads of weight, and it's now down to quite a respectable 237 kilograms. The big question, as with everything here at the show, is when can I have one? Well, it's going to be next year. And how much is it going to cost me? Well, again, I can't find out. Yamaha don't know. They won't disclose the price, but it's my guess, and this is only my guess, that it should cost you somewhere close to about £8,500.
Here I am again, giving me leaflets out, in this case on the Triumph stand. Now, we've given this job of this new machine to a certain gentleman who remembers them first time round. Who else can it be? Me Uncle Jeff.
Now, many, many years ago, I used to press my nose up against the local dealer's shop window and look at the Triumph Bonneville and lusted after one of these. But this is a bit different. This is the new one. Brand new Bonneville, but still following a lot of the traditional themes, at least as far as styling's concerned. But this one isn't a 650cc, as was the first one. This is 790cc, twin cylinder, still got the old 360-degree style crank, which always gave British bikes that distinctive sound. It's got twin carbs, of course. It's double overhead cam, the same as any modern bike, but it's got a separate swinging arm, shock absorbers, exposed front forks, and particularly the paint scheme on the tank is virtually identical to the old Bonneville. And they've all these little styling cues, the timing chest, the gearbox and whatnot, all follows the original Bonneville. Very clever, and I'm sure it's going to go down a bomb, especially stateside.
I've heard of cut price machinery, but this is going a bit far. Look at this. But this is to demonstrate something, and I've got to admit, I'm not going to hold on to this for too long, because these are heated grips. What's so special about that, you might add? Well, I tell you, 50 quid normally for a pair of heated grips for good ones. These come free of charge. You know what's really surprising about a £50 heated grips that come free of charge? I'll show you on this little bike over here. Follow me, please, sir. This is a little Wasp. And can you believe that those heated grips come as standard on this bike and it's only 999 quid.
Now, you'll know in the past, if you've watched some of my road tests, especially the road tests I've done on these machines, CCM models, and I've tested just about everything that they've ever made, I've been slagging them off because I've been saying £5,000 or £6,000 for a bike, you get all this technology and you don't get a neutral light. Because remember, I says, we can put a man on the moon, I think I said, but you can't put a neutral light in a CCM. Well, forget all that, I take it all back, because I've been moaning, and they've actually put a neutral light on every model. So every 2001 CCM model has now got a neutral light, which I think is great. Just goes to show that if you're not happy with something, tell them. People do listen to you, and they do take notice, and they put it right. So well done to CCM.
Motor Hispania. Bet you never heard of that one before, have you? And I bet you'll never guess where it's made. Ah, Spain. Of course it is. Seville in Spain. And I've got to admit, I'm normally a little bit sort of about Spanish engineering and workmanship. Well, I tell you what, they have definitely excelled with this little baby. This is a little RX. It's a 50cc, would you believe? So 16-year-old people can use it. And I have been reliably informed that in actual fact there's an awful lot of interest from lady users, young girls who fancy getting on a proper motorcycle when they're 16 years old rather than a scooter. Well, let me just point out a few things that I've noticed. First of all, obviously its overall appearance is beautiful. It's nicely finished off in the fairing here, and all the top unit here, I mean, it's everything that a 916 is. But just check these footrests out here. The engineering of this and the way this is produced, if this was an aftermarket product, it'd be a couple of £100 worth. And that is all on a bike in a blue or in this lovely yellow here that is already inclined to do a stopper, would you believe, at £2,195. So value for money, yes, it definitely is.
Now, fancy a jet bike? You can certainly burn off your mates on that. Got a Rolls-Royce gas turbine engine in that one. But something more practical for the road is a Tornado, a Benelli Tornado. This is the latest version, the finished version of the one that's actually going to go on sale. You can buy one of these for about $22.5. It's going to go on internet sale in November. And this is it, final version, the 3-cylinder, very much like Triumph. They hope to go World Superbike racing with it as well. But it looks the business, very unusual styling. The back here, a couple of fans for the radiator, that strange triple-piped exhaust there, but certainly a bit of a stunner.
Well, I've found it. I've definitely found it. Look at this. This year's prize winner for the worst possible colour scheme has to go to the BMW C1. Look at that. Metallic frost blue at that, not just frost blue, metallic frost blue and Kalahari yellow. It's so bad it makes you speak funny. What were they thinking of? I don't know. But before we slag this C1 off completely, I've got to show you this executive version, eh? How's this for the ultimate top box?